Sawadee Kapanu, welcome to another episode here for the Funky Pod and for Media Prof reacts to Messi. So, okay, that's a little bit of clickbait. So I'm not reacting to only Messi, but I'm reacting a little bit to Messi or to like what surrounds Messi right now, for example. Yeah. So what I'm trying to react to is actually the return of the cult of personality. Look in my eyes, what do you see? Very old reference to Living Color, if you know, respect, if you know it because of wrestling, also CM Punk. But let's talk about why do I pick Messi as like on the thumbnail, and why do I say next to Messi? Well, I have the question mark, right? So Messi. So because what I've seen right now with Messi is just this huge, and Ronaldo the same though, this huge return of the cult of personality. It's like, oh my God, the Messiah is here. And for a long time, I thought, or it felt like this cult of personality, this celebrity worship has been on the decline. But now it seems to like, just, bam, return like with full power. So I'll try to just react and look at it a little bit and give you a few insights there, right? So if you look back at like how this all started, like, I mean, of course, celebrity worship has always been there, but and it seems frivolous at times, right? But it reveals a lot about like human social interaction, social instincts. Okay, and if you look back to the 60s, Beatles were in the 60s, right? I believe. Yeah, that was when like the first time. At least it was like in the media, right? That it was captured, this hysteria, like, oh my God, the Beatles, and this was like this level of adoration that you wouldn't have seen before for pop stars, right? For entertainment, figures out of the entertainment industry. And then, like I said, I think, of course, it got more and more and more. But then over the last few years, I think, or it felt like it faded a little bit. Like, we are less into celebrities, we are less into influencers and all those things. And like, yeah, Kim K and so on, but it's also like fading, right? But now all of a sudden it seems to be returning. And now why is it the case? Now why do we bond with not only superstars, also like some influencers, of course, more or less. And well, there's this one theory that talks about parasocial interactions, right? Parasocial relationships. And I come back to Messi on that. Like, let me explain first and then I make the Messi example. So this parasocial relationship theory explains those one-sided connections, right? So it says like we bond with what we call in the media studies mediated figures. And we think we know everything about them. We've seen them grow up, live their lives, and so on. And so we have a very strong feeling, like a strong bond, even though they, of course, don't know us at all. So this bond is completely imaginary. But we still feel like we have this friendship with them, even though they don't know who we are, right? Now, when I come to Messi, so I just listened to a podcast with like a very, very smart researcher / professor. It's Professor Gard Saad. You might know him from Twitter or from the Joe Rogan podcasts, for example, where I just listened to him. And I think he has I agree with some of his points. I disagree with some of his points. That's just life, right? But they talk about football because Messi now, of course, in the US, everyone knows Messi by now. And he made the point that he said, hey, Joe, last time I was at your podcast and I talked about Messi, you looked at that in the face and you said, who is this person? Like who? And then when Joe Rogan made an example of like some MMA fighter, and God would say, I don't know who it is. And Joe Rogan looked him in the eye and said, how dare you, sir? And now God Saad said, sir, do you know Messi now? Right? And of course, Joe Rogan knows Messi by now. And then God Saad goes on to explain and says like, that World Cup final where Argentina won the final, right? Was one of the most intense things that him and his family ever watched together. He said his 11-year-old son said, I can't take it anymore. It's too intense. And then he described like how much joy he felt when Messi won. Even though he doesn't know Messi doesn't know him. He's not even Argentinian. right? So there's no natural bond between him and Messi, yet he felt like it was something special, right? So why is that the case? And this is this parasocial relationship. It's like, I've seen this guy play for so long. I've witnessed like his career, and I know that he never won the big one, and now he did, and I feel so much joy for that. Okay, so that's one of those examples of this parasocial relationship. And the funny thing to me is that like a professor, like in social sciences or whatever, he still experiences that, even though he knows better, of course. But he goes on to explain like how much of a good person Messi is, and how do you know? You don't know. It's just the mediated image, the things that you see. You think, oh, he's such a nice guy, and so on, right? Maybe he is, who knows? But it's just a great example of this parasocial relationship. But that's not all. So there, and I'm not going to throw too many theories at you, so don't worry. If you want to learn more about this, you come to my class. But there are a few more researchers who actually research in that area. So one of, for example, is, and I'm going to butcher the name, I apologize to all French-speaking viewers and listeners, Jean Baudrillard. Jean Baudrillard, he had this concept of hyperreality, and he argues that today's world is dominated by what he calls simulation. So he says what we see is not real. Like what you see on Instagram is not real. You know that, right? You know everyone's working with filters, fake settings and whatnot, scripted stuff and so on. We know that. But because we see so much of it, it becomes reality to us, right? If you follow someone on Instagram, even if it's your friend, they do like, oh, I'm on this cool trip and I'm having this great food and blah, blah. It's real to you, even though it's probably heavily edited and faked and planned forever and so on, right? So he says we live in a world of simulation. And those fake things becoming real is what he calls hyperreality. So he says we live in a hyper-real world, so to speak, okay? Because what is actually fake becomes real to us because we see it so much, okay? So that's the idea, the concept of hyperreality. And that's the same thing now again with Messi, with Ronaldo, with Mbappe. I can never pronounce it. I'm sorry. Kylian Mbappe. I think that's how I have to say it a few times and I know how to say it. I apologize. It's the same thing, right? So we think we know everything, just because we see so many of those mediated, fabricated images. Like, oh no, we know them. And it's not only with football stars. So I'm using football right now just because Messi is blowing up right now in his pink Inter Miami shirt. It's speaking of pink, could be for Blackpink too. We all think we know Lisa. We know what Lisa's about. I record this podcast here in Thailand. Of course, Lisa is a huge star. She's from Thailand, right? She doesn't know me. She doesn't know anyone here. I mean, not many people, obviously. But we all think, no, I know what Lisa likes. I know Lisa's favorite sweet dessert is blah, blah. Yeah, parasocial relationship. Right there, hyperreality. We see so many mediated images that we think this is real, even if it's not, okay? So those carefully curated celebrity IG feeds, they project this perfect, filtered, alternate reality. And it's tailored to your followers, to their followers, right? You tailor, if you know your audience, one of the key takeaways in every marketing class I give, know your followers, or know your audience. If you know your audience, you can tailor your message towards your audience. Super important. Okay, so no. Yeah, and so the fake reality feels real. Hyper reality, there you go. It's better than real life. It's hyper real. Another researcher in this area, is called Guy Debord. Okay, Guy Debord, he talks about the society of the spectacle. All right, and he says, well, celebrities, they embody the spectacular. Okay. And an artificial world of illusions, if you will, okay? And it's all about those surface level appearances, right? And they captivate us. So we want to see spectacular surface level things. We don't want to have to think about the content too much. We want to see, wow, things that make us go, wow, so cool. We want to see Messi kick the in the 95th minute, kick a free kick and score, and we go, wow, crazy. We want to see this. We want to see Blackpink on an insane stage doing crazy stuff on a world tour. We want to be wowed. We want to see spectacular things because our lives are not spectacular most of the time, right? So we live in the society, the spectacular society that thrives on seeing spectacular things in the media, not doing it by themselves. And so I have to say, we're obsessed with things like this. We obsessively consume the spectacle of the celebrity lifestyle, right? It's an entertainment form for us. And we don't engage in meaningful conversations as much because we get this spectacular lifestyle thrown at us from all angles. It's not only on TV, it's not only on Netflix, Crazy Rich Asians and whatnot. It's the bullying empire and so on. It's on social media. It's on every social media platform. It's everywhere. You cannot escape it. And then we're embracing it. We're consuming it to insane amounts, right? Insane extent. Now, there are lots of people out there that argue that this, and I noted it down, reflects a void of purpose and substance in culture. And I don't want to go that far, but I'm close to going that far after watching NPCs taking off on TikTok. I am that close to believing that. So that simply means there's nothing of substance, nothing that we care about enough to talk about to replace the spectacle. We are still happy to just see those spectacular things coming at us. Hand in hand with this goes another guy, and I promise I only have I think two more. But I think they're just important to mention if you want to do some follow-up reading there while my cat complains in the background. Hey, snooze. I didn't mean snooze. I meant actually Noam Chomsky. Noam Chomsky, you might have seen on some TV shows because he's still somewhat active there. He tries to give a bit of a deeper context when it comes to this celebrity obsession, okay? He talked about a propaganda model in some of his books and research, and that critiques how media elevates entertainment and celebrity news as a distraction from more systemic issues. So he's saying, what we just said, but he just elevates it and he says, no, media pushes that stuff on purpose to distract us from the actual issues. Okay? So he says celebrity culture, if you want to call it that right now, the spectacle, serves the elite power structure by keeping the rest distracted. Keep the mass distracted, passive, compliant. Yeah. So no one's rising up, pointing fingers, but they just keep consuming all the celebrity stuff and then they're kind of satisfied. Okay? Passively. That's important. Keep them passive. Just keep them consuming. Don't have the masses rise up, do anything. Otherwise, every country looks like France. Joke, somewhat. So, this obsessive fandom feeds public, passiveness, if I want to just call it that, right? Because we don't care about the agenda of the powerful as long as we can still get our Messi content in this case, and so on. And again, using this as an example, right? Not hating on Messi, even though I'm German, not hating on Messi. It's an example. Blackpink, whatever you want to use. Okay? So, celebrity content, spectacle distracts us from actual issues. The actual issues, too exhausting to talk about. Hey, cool, look over there. It's a blue car. Right? That's what the media is doing. And there's more to this, right? So there's the more modern examples of celebrity news, content, and so on, deflecting attention from key social and political issues, I think, or even economic concerns, right? Society focuses more on, and also out of reference, but it's the Kim and Kanye, still actually, right? Then analyzing root causes of poverty, for example, of racism, and so on. Chomsky would argue that this cultural programming benefits existing power hierarchies, not the people. Okay. There's another model like that goes hand in hand with that we call the media profit model. Like the media profit model hooks us with like this celebrity gossip and what else? Breakups, clothing choices, whatever you want to talk about, rather than substantive news, right? So those PR teams of the celebs, of course, they work tirelessly to keep pushing the content out, right? And to give us like those narratives and the hyperreal versions of celebrity lives and whatnot. So it's a huge industry, actually. Like, I mean, you heard of the military industrial complex. I think this celebrity influencer industrial complex is also a real thing, actually. Okay, they monopolize our attention if you want to. Okay, crazy. Yeah, attention only towards the spectacle, not towards the actual issues. And yeah, during this instability of like all the issues, like the perfect alternate realities of like celebrities, Messi, Blackpink, influencers, and so on, they comfort us, and it's understandable, right? What Baudrillard, the guy we talked about in the beginning, suggested, like this hyperreality is something that you want to see. Like the spectacle is something that you want to see. It comforts you. So you're so stressed about life, about problems at work, politics, whatever. You're like, I don't want to see and think about it right now. And then, like, look, there's my nice, safe space of the spectacle. Okay. So following that simulated life of like the rich and the famous on IG, TikTok, whatever, threads, distracts from the real problems affecting society. And that's not just because we don't care. It's maybe also because there's just so much to handle. Okay. So it's not because people are bad or lazy. It's just maybe because there's just too much and you feel like, I can't change anything. Like feeling lost and then just turning towards the celebrity spectacle culture, right? Before I wrap it up, let me throw a wrench in there, like a curveball, to not only talk about football. Let me throw like a curveball in there. Think along a few different lines. There's like a researcher out there, like former academic, Jordan Peterson. Let's just say his name. Say the name of the devil, and he appears. I only said it once. I don't say it 3 times. So Jordan Peterson, that was the second time, argues that celebrity fixation, right, reveals our instinct to idolize heroic archetypes. I think that's how he calls it. Yeah, he believes, I'm not saying the name, he believes that we gravitate towards celebrity heroes because we crave guidance from those strong role models in like uncertain worlds. Is that, can I say the name again? Is that Jordan Peterson? or is the top G speaking? Very similar, right? Doesn't matter. So they know. Jordan Peterson is saying like we follow those celebrities because we need guidance. We lost our way. We don't know what to do. We don't have anyone taking care of us, giving us guidance. So we're looking to celebrities for guidance. You know, I think there's something to it. As much I like making fun of him, it's to some extent there is something to it, right? Like I said earlier, sometimes we feel lost. We're like, oh God, there's so much coming at us. I don't know how to prioritize. What should I do? Someone tell me what to do. So there's something to it, I think. However, what I also think is that he probably also overestimates the depth of most the celebrity spectacle worship, right? Because we know that celebrities very often they mislead rather than guide. They rather make like a quick buck. Making money is on the agenda rather than maybe guiding us, giving us something valuable. Okay. Why I mentioned this is I think there's a little bit to it, but maybe not that much. But I think the contrast between like what Peterson is saying and other thinkers, for example, just illustrates the complexity of the issue. So it's not that easy to say that everyone's lazy. That's why they're just following like IG influencers, superstars, whatnot. Because maybe some of us are lazy, yeah, sure. But maybe some have terrible lives and just looking to escapism, right? Maybe it's just too overwhelming. Maybe we don't have role models. It's a multi-layered issue. So it's not just black and white, right? That's why Messi is our hero, to just come back to that. Okay. That's why we're jumping on it and like, yes, there's something new to jump on. There's a new trend. There's this and there's so many layers to it, why we do that. And I think that's important to understand. So to bring this to a conclusion, right, to not just go on forever, I think it's important to like, how to fix this, switch off the internet. I think it's important to like, by the way, no, that wouldn't help, right? Just saying that would not help. I think you gotta cultivate some mindfulness, buzzword, about how the spectacle, celebrity culture, whatever you want to call it, can control our attention. Because if you understand that, the literacy, media literacy, then we can maybe redirect our energies towards like substantive engagements, real issues, but also having some fun here and there. I think it's always the balance with everything in life. It's the balance. And if you know what is happening, like why all those celebrity news are coming at you and all the content and so on, you can say, hey, okay, I'm entertained now, but it's been like an hour, 2, 3, 4. It's been enough time now. Now I'm also going to focus on the real stuff again, right? So media literacy, mindfulness, I think, are important here. But maybe it's just my academic point of view. So if you have different points of view, let me know. Do I exaggerate that? Is the cult of personality not coming back? Has it always been back? What are your thoughts? How is it influencing society? What should we do? Can we do something? Should there be something done, or is it not that important after all? Let me know. Shout out in the comments. Social media at funkitpod. If you want to send an email because you're old, it's funkitpod@gmail.com. I do read them, so I'm old too. Other than that, leave a comment. I'm really curious to hear what you think about that. If you're listening, like, share, subscribe. Of course, that would be cool, so we can have wider discussions. If you're listening on audio, leave a review. That's very, very helpful to reach a wider audience. And yeah, let me know what you think about the cult of personality. Until then, as always, stay safe, take care, and we talk soon. Saudi Cup.